This is Ready, Set, Reiki, a podcast about Reiki, the universal energy life force, from the curious beginner to the seasoned master teacher, welcoming all systems, all lineages, and all levels. Reiki is a journey and not a destination. And on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey, I refer to myself as a guide rather than host, as I too am traveling, supporting others, and learning on this Reiki journey as well. And with that said, I am your guide, Tracy C. Wright. And today I am honored to have on this journey Joan Maute. Now, she is a lifelong teacher, coach of other skills, but however, teaching Reiki is truly her purpose and her passion in life. As a surfer from the big island of Hawaii, she never could have guessed that her fitness training background would lead her to become a massage therapist, which would then lead her to becoming a Reiki master practitioner and then an ICRT licensed Reiki master teacher. She never imagined that she'd be ending up traveling different parts of the world to teach Reiki. Now, Joan loves teaching Reiki and brings to her class a combination of excellent training, real-life experience, hard-earned wisdom, love, compassion, humor, and grace. Because of her background, her classes are taught in a relaxed Hawaiian style. All her classes are infused with warmth and sacredness of the Aloha spirit, regardless of where they are being taught, in person or online. She's practicing Reiki for nearly 30 years and is very grateful to be of service in this way. And to her, it is truly a joy, an honor, and a tremendous blessing to live a Reiki life to help others learn this lifelong skill that can use to heal themselves, their loved ones, and in turn, the world. Joan, welcome to Ready, Set, Reiki.
Hi, Aloha. Thank you so much for having me.
All right, well, let's begin our journey together. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I have been practicing Reiki for 30 years now, and in the beginning it was kind of like voodoo. Nobody knew what it was. It was like, I don't know what you're doing. I don't want any part of that. But honestly, in the beginning, I never heard of it. I had no idea. I never even heard of energy healing. Everything I did was very tangible, hands-on. I was a fitness professional. I'm a certified horse trainer and equestrian coach. I owned a landscape nursery. I'm a horticulturalist. It was all just very tangible stuff. So I sold my nursery and I didn't know what to do. I was the plant lady, and that was sort of my identity. And a friend of mine owned a massage school here on the island and said, come and take some massage classes, check it out. You already got the anatomy, physiology background. I thought, ew, I don't want to touch naked, oily people. That sounds icky. So, but there were some sports massage classes, so I took one and I thought, wow, this is really interesting. I felt kind of like Sherlock Holmes, you find out what the problem is, and in my naivete, I thought it was like fixing a car. So you have certain parts, you have X amount of problems, you have a toolkit, you fix it, done, you're good. Well, of course, it's not that simple. So I ended up going to the massage school as a year of training just because I didn't have anything else coming up. And I thought, well, this is a great skill. It wasn't the big it, but it was something useful and helpful to do until whatever the big it was showed up. And through that experience, I discovered that a lot of people who seem to, like they should have healed, and I think I was a pretty good massage therapist, I haven't done it for years now, they would come back presenting with the same issue. And I got curious about that, like, why? Something's going on here that I don't know about, and I want to know what it is. So the year after I got my massage license, there was nobody teaching Reiki here. I'd never heard of it. Didn't know anything about it. And a friend brought a teacher over from Arizona and she said, oh, hey, come take this class. It's really cool. You just put your hands on people and they heal. And I thought, nah, I'm good. Yeah, that doesn't sound right. And she kept pestering me. And this was in the old Takata style where the classes were separated, the levels were separated. So it was just level one. And I said, okay, fine, I'll just come and support my friend. So I took the class, and honestly, I thought it was total BS. I didn't feel anything. I thought it was a total waste of time. I was really kind of pissed off about the whole thing. But my massage clients started giving me different feedback that I hadn't had before, like, wow, the pain just disappeared. Or how did you know to go there? I didn't know that was sore. Wow, your hands are really burning hot. And I thought, okay, maybe something's happening, but I didn't take it seriously. A couple years later, same teacher came back to do level two, same friend, come and take this class, you get all these cool symbols and you can do all this stuff. And I had the same reaction. I was just like, no, I'm just not interested. I don't believe in it. So she kept pestering me. I finally went. Um, Still didn't feel anything, and I thought, nah, okay. And then and this was in the tradition where master level is $10,000, some
Mm.
schools still charge that much. And the teacher's talking about becoming a Reiki master, but she made it sound like you had to live like a monk. And I thought, I I don't want to live that way. I want to have fun. I'm Italian. I want to have a glass of wine now and then. I want to surf. I want to do fun things. And so I had no interest whatsoever in ever becoming a Reiki master. And fast forward, well, about over a decade, life as I knew it ended very abruptly and very traumatically. The
Mm.
universe sent me to Virginia, and I'm embarrassed to say I had to look it up on the map. I knew it was on the mid-Atlantic, but I didn't know if it was north or south of the Carolinas. I totally forgot my geography. Anyway, you know how there's times in life where stuff happens and you think, okay, I surrender, just tell me
Mm.
what to do, I give up, except I still want total control of this thing over here. Well, it doesn't work that way. Either you surrender or you don't, right? So at that point, I was so beat up. I just went, okay, I give up, I surrender, I'm ready to be of service. Just tell me where to go and what to do. So I went to Virginia. I didn't know anybody, I didn't have a job. I had a little bit of money, so I didn't have to worry about finding work immediately. Um, and I knew there was something there for me to learn, but I didn't know what it was. And I thought, well, I'll just stay for a couple years and figure it out, and then I'll come home. Well, 12 years later, who knew?
Mm.
I finally moved home permanently. That was about 3 years ago. But um, weirdly, the universe sent me to Virginia to find ICRT, the International Center
Mm.
for Reiki Training. And pretty much all along, Reiki's been dragging me along this journey, not exactly kicking and screaming, but not on board with it through friends.
Mm.
And so I had a friend, neighbor, who was having a lot of issues, and I kept offering Reiki, and she had a Christian background. Yeah, ooh, no, devil's work, and I said,
Right.
me, I'm not doing devil's work. She goes, no, 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 I'm good. So one day she calls me up and she says, I really hurt myself really bad. Can you give me some Reiki? And I thought, oh, yeah, sure. Okay. As you know, pain is a very motivating factor, and sometimes people get to the point where they're willing to try anything. So she came over, she couldn't walk on it. She hops in. I was very busy. I said, look, I can do maybe 10 minutes. I don't have time for a whole session.
Mm-hmm.
So we sat on the sofa and I put my hands around her ankle and they got burning hot right away. And as you know, that means the energy's really flowing, right? So then after probably wasn't even 10 minutes, my hands cooled off and I took them away and we both looked at her ankle and went, whoa, the swelling was visibly down. The
Yeah.
colors, it was all black and blue and green, all those colors. The colors had gone way down. She stood up and she goes, wow, it hardly hurts. Now I can do all this stuff. I said, no, 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 it's still injured. You take care of it. Go home and
Yeah.
wrap it, ice it, do all that. So that got her attention. and also what might have taken months or even a year to heal, because it was about as bad as you could sprain an ankle.
Mm.
Only it was less than 2 months, and it was completely healed. Um, so she decided to take a Reiki class, and at that time I knew nothing about ICRT. We had a licensed teacher near Roanoke in Southern Virginia, and she's since retired. But so my friend found that and took that class. And then she was really excited and she was using Reiki on her family and herself and everything. A couple of years later, she wanted to do master. And she said, "Oh, come with me. It'll be really fun. We'll get a hotel room. We'll do all this stuff." And I'm thinking what my previous Reiki master had told me. I'm like, no, I don't want to be a Reiki master. First of all, I don't have $10,000.
Yeah.
Secondly, I'm just not interested. And she goes, no, 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 it's $1,000. I went, no, I'm good. Anyway, she kept pestering me like the other one, and I went. And because I'd already had level 2, I qualified for the ICRT master training. And this
Mm.
was before we had Holy Fire.
Yeah.
That's when the light bulb went on. We had the fabulous manuals that William wrote himself.
Mm.
He's really quite a scholar.
Yes.
And I felt the energy,
Mm.
and it was really profound. I just thought, wow, this is the real deal. This is what it's supposed to be like. And I was talking to someone, a nurse, who had driven down from Michigan, which was like, I don't know, 8 hours or more, all night to take the class.
Mm.
And I didn't know anything about the licensed teachers or any of that. And I said, why didn't you just take something closer? I mean, there's Reiki teachers all over, right? She
Yes.
said, well, I wanted to take a class with a licensed teacher, and this was the next closest one
Right.
that was available because Williams classes in Michigan were all full. And I thought, wow, people are looking for this. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
to go out and try and sell it and market it and. So in less than a year, I started teaching, and I knew that that was my big it.
Mm.
And interestingly, I started teaching at a community college in Charlottesville, which it's in the South.
Yeah.
But Charlottesville's pretty eclectic. And I interviewed, and they said, "Oh, this is great. We've been looking for something like this for their adult ed, continuing ed." So I did that for about a year, and then got my own office and was working in a healing center. And it was just fabulous. I loved it. And then I knew right away I wanted to go through the licensing program, which is 3 years, about 1,000 hours, and it's pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
But I can tell you, it not only made me a much, much better teacher, but it made me a better person in every way.
Right.
Even my ex-husband says, "You're so much nicer than you used to be." So I said, "I'm glad you recognize that. I've been working on it."
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I kept teaching there, and this is my only job, really. I don't have any
Sure.
job or anything. I see clients occasionally, but I don't have a lot of time anymore. So
Right.
I
Right.
try and market sessions.
Yeah.
Um, and then COVID happened, and we couldn't teach. Everything had been in person before COVID. Nobody
Yeah.
taught online. It wasn't traditional or effective or even acceptable. So we had to shift gears really quick. And I can't say enough about Team Reiki and
Mm.
what incredible people they are who run ICRT. I was talking to Colleen one day, she and I are friends, and I said, Colleen, and they came up with the whole online training program in 2 weeks.
Yeah, they did. Right. I
I
remember.
said, how
Yeah.
did you guys do this in 2 weeks? Because it's 40 pages of very detailed
Mm-hmm.
information. She said, well, first of all, we weren't working. Secondly, um, it was very clear that had to be done immediately. They didn't have
Yeah.
months to figure it out. So, yay, thank you for Team Reiki. And but I was really resistant to teaching online. I don't know why, because I'm kind of a renegade. I like things to be different. But
Sure.
anyway, finally practiced for a couple months with Zoom and all that, and started teaching online. And it's been an incredible gift. I have students all around the world now.
Mm,
It's just marvelous. People who would never have access to this sort of thing. And really, anywhere in the world, if someone has connectivity, they can learn Reiki, they can take a
yes,
Reiki class. So it's been
absolutely.
an extraordinary gift that came out of the COVID.
Yeah.
And and then all of the holy fire and all of the holy fire upgrades we've had and all that. So
Yes. Wonderful.
it's been a marvelous experience. And I was telling someone the other day, I don't know how I'd live without Reiki.
Yeah.
It just is so useful for everything.
Yeah.
I just had a car issue and Reiki the whole thing, and it always makes it turn out better. One of the
Right.
things I tell my students is ask for whatever you want. Be as detailed as you want. You deserve it, whatever it is
Yeah.
you want.
Very good.
But don't be attached to the outcome and just say, this is what I want or something better. So
Wonderful.
remember that out there. Ask for what you want or something better. Let the universe figure it out.
Yeah.
We can't
Beautiful.
see the bigger picture. And we're tapping into a realm of infinite possibilities. So
Right.
yay. Why not let the universe give us something better? And I'm telling you, it happens every single time.
Wonderful. What a journey. What a journey. So, would
Yeah,
you say that you found Reiki or Reiki found you?
pretty much Reiki found me. I was not
Yeah.
looking for it, you know. I didn't even know anything about it. So yeah. And
Wow.
that happens a lot. People say, "Oh, it just happened. I
Yeah.
wasn't looking for it." Yeah. So Reiki shows up when you're ready.
Right. So, what systems of Reiki do you work with?
Primarily Usui, Holy Fire, Karuna Reiki, and Animal Reiki.
Beautiful.
And I know there's lots of other forms of Reiki out there. It's just, that feels like enough at this point.
Sure. Beautiful. So you have been with the ICRT. You have been doing this for over 30 years. You've been out helping and mentoring others in their journey through Reiki. What is a common misconception about Reiki and the work you do?
Um, a lot of people think it's just a belief
Mm,
or something you visualize. They don't think that it's a tangible thing. The energy is real and it's very tangible. And when someone experiences it for the first time, they always go, wow, I can actually feel that. Um, and also, then there's people who have been misguided by their religion or, online, oh my gosh, social media, whatever. So much misinformation out there. They think it's
sure,
bad, evil, devil's work, whatever. Um, I don't even really Google it anymore. I'm just shocked at what shows up, and there's nothing
sure.
we can do about it. Also, some people think that you're using your own energy. There are
Mm,
other forms of energy healing that use the practitioner's energy, and Reiki absolutely does not. You set yourself aside
yes,
so the power of the energy can flow through you. And because Reiki's self-intelligent, the more you get out of the way, the more effective it is because it knows what to do. I could tell
sure.
you dozens of stories about that. So,
It's amazing. Well, you have been helping so many people on their journey when they've had these challenges or life struggles. But what has been the biggest challenge or rather struggle you faced in your own healing journey?
so, everyone has negative energy patterns, and this is
Mhm.
something, as you know, that we learn in the master training. Um, we take them on either in early childhood or they can even come through from past lives. So we take on these patterns. And I had a family member who was very self-absorbed, maybe even narcissistic, judgmental, all of that sort of thing, very egotistical. And so I absorbed this sort of pattern.
Mm,
And so I would say, healing the ego, which is probably a big reason why my ex thinks I'm so much nicer
yeah.
now. But it's been such a beautiful gift. I am nicer and I have more compassion and empathy and caring for people and unconditional love. And it
Yeah.
took a long time to heal that judgmental pattern. And this came from my mom, who loved people,
Yeah.
but she worked in the fashion industry. And so she was always dressed. Even in Hawaii, she wore stockings and high heels, and that was her. And so if someone wasn't dressed in a way she thought was appropriate, I would hear her make that sound. She'd go, "Ah, look at that person. Don't they have a mirror? That outfit doesn't match. It looks terrible on them." On and on. Wrong color, whatever it was that, why don't they tuck their shirt in? So when I was in my 20s, I saw someone she wouldn't have approved of. And right away, the thoughts start going, those
Mm,
negative energy thoughts, the loop. And I thought, wait a second, I don't even know that person. I could care less what they're wearing. And then I went, oh my gosh, that's mom in my head.
yeah.
But I didn't know how to get her out. I didn't know, how she got in or what the process was. Um, so it's a work in progress,
Hmm.
healing our negative energy patterns, our deepest issues. And it's definitely possible. And it's definitely necessary if you want to evolve to be a better person. I'm always striving to be a better person. I'm certainly not perfect, but it's a work in progress. And I would say the other issue, which pretty much is resolved now, is trusting in a higher power,
Mm,
and that there is an energy in the universe, or you could call it the universe or the divine or whatever, that is benevolent and works with us and wants to help us and heal us. And so many people have a hard time trusting because they think, oh, that's just my mind making it up,
mhm.
or, you know, patterns where they feel like they're not good enough, they don't deserve whatever. So trusting in that higher power is so important, and you'd think it would be the most natural thing in the world, but it seems like the hardest thing in the world.
Certainly is, isn't it?
Most people.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So, what do you wish your younger self knew about Reiki?
pretty much everything. I don't think I could pinpoint one thing exactly, just um, what a powerful tool and gift it is for living life, for dealing with life's issues. One time someone said to me, "Oh, you're a Reiki master, your life must be perfect." And I went, No, same stuff happens to me, but
Yeah.
I have some tools and, information that I can use to work with to just get through all those things more easily,
Right.
more effectively, and more efficiently. And to learn, from the challenges in life instead of blaming people or, oh, why did this happen to me? Whenever something really challenging happens, I just think, okay, what am I supposed to be learning from this? This really
Yeah.
sucks. I want to get through it as quickly as possible and never happen again.
Sure, sure. It's
So,
amazing. Like when I had a little health issue with my blood pressure, and I always had like classic textbook blood pressure, and it started going a little wonky. And my very best friend's like, "How? You do so much Reiki. It should be fine." And I'm like,
right, yeah.
I'm a human,
Yeah,
and
I
there's
know. Yeah,
genetics and all kinds of other
yeah.
things.
Yeah, your life should be perfect. You shouldn't have any issues. Like, well, we inhabit human form for a reason.
Sure,
But,
sure.
like when I was in Virginia, I had a horrific car wreck. And
Mm,
I could have been dead. Someone hit me very fast, going on head on, hit me head on. The whole front of my car was smashed. And miraculously, I only had injuries from the knees down, which were pretty serious, but I wasn't angry. I wasn't happy about it. People kept going, "Why
right.
aren't you angry?" Some guy was racing his Porsche on a back road, lost
Mm,
control, boom. I didn't have any time to react. And I thought, well, he didn't do it on purpose. I'm pretty sure about that. Plus, I made a soul agreement with him to have this experience for why, I didn't know in the beginning. And, I always say, yes, thank you for the lesson. And I never need to do that one again,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Make sure to
Um,
put that in. Yeah. One and done.
yeah, exactly. But a lot of amazing things came out of it. And one of them was learning how to receive.
Right.
I was always the giver, and it was hard to receive graciously. And I had just joined a Unity church there, really didn't know anybody yet. It was only a few months, and they announced it, and they just stepped up. Someone organized meals for me because
Oh,
my
wow.
housemate was always gone, and they'd come and hang out, help me do stuff. I couldn't walk for a while. And it was just miraculous. And then when I finally was able to go to a service, I was sitting in the back because I couldn't walk, and I had a walker and hobbled along. And they said, come up to the front. So I'm hobbling up, get this standing ovation. I started
Wow.
crying
Wow.
and just thanked everybody so much. And the person who organized the meals, I said, I can't thank you enough. I don't know what I would have done. I couldn't like get up and make anything.
Sure.
And she said, oh no, we need to thank you. And I went, what? Why? She said, because you helped us remember what a gift it is to give.
Aw.
Well, then I really started crying. I
Yeah.
was like, oh my gosh, I never thought about receiving something from someone as giving them a gift, of
Sure.
graciously receiving whatever they're offering. Plus, I had tons of Reiki during that time, sent an
Yeah.
SOS out to everyone I knew who
Yeah.
had it.
Wow.
And then I had a lot of free time, so I was sending myself Reiki. But
Wow.
yeah,
Beautiful.
so
Beautiful. Wow. So when it's time for you to get an energetic tune-up, what are some qualities you look for in a Reiki practitioner?
well, first of all, experienced. Um, Secondly, although I have to say I've had some beginner students who were very gifted,
Mm.
but I like to work with someone who's experienced, intuitive, um, has holy fire Reiki, just because it's so powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And someone I know. I have so many friends, the licensed teachers
Oh,
trade with
yeah.
each other occasionally, but we're so busy, we don't
Mm.
really have time to do that.
Yeah.
I have friends who have Reiki and a lot of master students who've gone through the whole program and are very good. So we trade when we have a chance. I've got a trade coming up actually next week with one of my favorite students from New Jersey.
Oh, beautiful.
We'll do it
Wonderful.
online, yeah.
So what advice would you give someone who's just entering this as a profession?
Allow the Reiki to guide you. One of the biggest mistakes people make in the beginning is trying to guide the Reiki to
Mhm.
direct it. So keep in mind the Reiki is self-intelligent and it knows what to do and it will guide you. You will have an inner knowingness of where to place your hands, or, you may even get messages or inspirations. And the more you get out of the way, the more powerful it will be. And also, the more you use it, the stronger it will get because your channel gets clearer and more open, and you can pass more of the Reiki through you, and it'll feel a lot more powerful. Plus, every time you give Reiki or use it for anything, it's passing through you, so it's healing you too. So
Right.
use it in everyday life. I use it for everything, literally, and get into that habit, and then just trust in the power of the Reiki. It's totally life altering. It's just,
Right.
that sounds so trite, but it's really true.
Some good advice. So what books do you recommend?
So there are a lot of good books, and if you go to the Reiki.org website, there's plenty of books there. Some are written by William Lee Rand, and a lot are written by other people. I would highly recommend Reiki in clinical practice,
Mm.
particularly if you work in the medical industry at all, whether you're a nurse or do anything in that industry, because it's it was written by Anne Baldwin, who's a researcher, and she did a lot of scientific studies and like double-blind studies, and so there's proof
Yeah.
that Reiki does work, and it was done in hospitals. Um, Also, Laurel Gaia wrote a book about Karuna Reiki years ago, and she was the one who helped William develop Karuna Reiki, one of the ones. And that's really interesting if you are interested in that or if you've had the training. Reiki and Children is a wonderful book, how to work with children, and kids love Reiki,
Hmm.
especially little kids.
Yeah.
They haven't had it programmed out of them yet that no, you can't talk to animals. There's no fairies. There's no. They feel that so small kids are just like animals. They don't have any boundaries or barriers. They feel the energy, it feels good, and they want it. And animals are the same way.
Right.
Wow, this feels really good. Yeah, I'd like some of that. And children love to give Reiki too. So we have a new training developed by some of our licensed teachers
Hmm.
called Kid Reiki. And I highly recommend that if you want to work with children and or if you want to teach people to work with children because it's a teacher program.
Hmm.
And the only requirement is that you're a Reiki master. So, that's really great. William wrote a book called An Evidence-Based History
Hmm.
of Reiki, and he made many trips to Japan to research the origins of Usui Reiki because when he was young and studying Reiki, he trained with a lot of different Reiki masters. And what he discovered was that there was no continuity. There
Yeah.
wasn't any standardization. You never knew what you were going to get. There was a lot of conflicting information or even misinformation. So he took it upon himself to verify the information. And he was able to go to Japan and interview twice this guy named Hiroshi Doi, Doi Sensei, who is part of Usui's original organization, the Usui Reiki Ryoho Gakkai. And Doi Sensei is the curator or manager of Usui's original archives of information. So just about as close to the source as you could get.
Right.
And William was allowed to ask anything he wanted. So one of the reasons I love teaching this program is because the information is verified.
Hmm.
The other thing is that one of the things I love about William and ICRT is that if something shows up that proves that whatever we've been doing isn't correct, there's no qualms about changing it.
Right.
We're not attached to what we're teaching. We know that it's valid and it's good, but if there's new information, yay. So there's also a modern method for healing, which was written by Hiroshi Doi. So that's really interesting too. And so there's tons of books. So you could go on that website, and that's obviously there's tons of books elsewhere. I
Right.
would
Right.
suggest if you see a book and you're drawn to it, get it and read it.
Wonderful. So, what other services or modalities do you offer? Do you offer classes, trainings, events?
I do. I teach all levels of the ICRT training program, level 1, level 2, uh, Reiki Master, that would be Usui Holy Fire Reiki Master, and also Holy Fire Karuna Reiki Master. That's an advanced master training you can take after you're a Reiki Master for 6 months. I teach all levels of animal Reiki. It's one of my favorite things to teach now. I love it so much. 1 and 2 and animal Reiki Master. Um, I also have a group mentoring program called the Deepening Program. That's a 4-month program for students who are interested in just going deeper into their experience with Reiki. And I do private mentoring as well. Also, there's an online monthly Reiki share that anyone who has Reiki is welcome to join. And I'm developing a new training program for training teachers how to teach.
Mm.
And I've had so many students who have asked for this. In my first couple of years of teaching, in order to apply for the licensing program, you have to have already been teaching for 2 years. And
Right.
I'll tell you, in those first 2 years, I was not a great Reiki teacher. I just, I was having to figure it out all by myself and made tons of mistakes and just kept trying to learn and grow and, evolve my teaching skills as best I could. And so I've been teaching now professionally full time for 10 years.
Mm.
And I can take a decade of experience and information and, all the learning process, all the mistakes, and condense that into days.
Right.
So nobody has to go through years and years of trial and error trying to figure it out. And eventually it'll probably be a longer program, but initially I'm still developing it. I'm going to make it a 3-day training, just like our other master trainings. Keep it simple, and then, it'll evolve as time goes on. But I didn't think this up myself. I've been thinking about it for a while, but this year I got a mandate from the universe. You have to do
Mm.
this, and you need to do it now. You
Right.
can't keep waiting. This is really important. This can help heal the world because if there's more teachers, they'll be teaching more people Reiki. And the more
Mhm.
people in the world that have Reiki, the more peace there will be. I mean, think about it. If most of the people in the world had Reiki, they'd want to help, not
Mhm.
be hurtful. People would
Sure.
want to support each other. People would want to share resources. People would be kinder and more compassionate and just more understanding. There would be more peace. So this will be my little teeny contribution to bringing peace to the world.
Very good. How can we get in touch with you to find where your classes are?
Risinglightreiki.com. I've got a whole bunch of classes coming up, several more this month. Karuna Reiki towards the end of the month, both levels of animal Reiki. Next month, so because I'm in Hawaii, I can teach in Australia, New Zealand, Asia, and the time zones work. So all of
Mhm.
November is in their time zones, and the other online classes are in US, Canada time zones. And I even have a student in Europe now. They were up kind of late, but they said, no, I
Sure.
just want to do it. Yeah, so it's pretty
They'll do it.
marvelous.
Wonderful.
So yeah,
Wonderful.
just check the website and it's got the other things on there, the Reiki Share and the
Wonderful.
deepening program as well, which actually starts in January.
Right. And we can find you on reiki.org as well.
Yes, I am listed on the licensed teacher page on Reiki.org.
All right, very good. All right, Joan, that ends the first part of our journey, and I'm going to continue to be your guide through the next questions. So, social media and questions from Reiki students. Number one, what inspired you to name your business Rising Light Reiki?
Um, as we evolve, our light rises, so to speak,
Mm.
and into higher frequencies, higher levels of consciousness. And I was also kind of thinking about Kundalini, where I don't really practice it. I certainly don't teach it, but that's another practice where as you evolve, your light rises.
Hmm.
And plus, I love sunrise and then the logo evolved with the sunrise and the ocean and there had to be a palm tree on there.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, number two, how can infusing the warmth and sacredness of the Aloha spirit assist in a Reiki session?
Oh, yeah, that's a great question. Um, so aloha, the real meaning of aloha. So aloha, it's one of those words that can have multiple meanings. It can mean hello, goodbye, it's a greeting, but it always means with love. It's the word itself is infused with love. The literal translation is the breath of God.
Mm.
So it has the same sort of meaning when you use it in its true sense, like namaste. I recognize the divine love within you as the same within me. So, and that permeates our culture here. Of course, there's, not everybody feels aloha, but it's really different. And when people visit here, they notice that. It's like, wow, everybody's so nice. Pretty much. Um, and so when I'm working, it infuses everything I do. It informs everything I do, just that loving kindness of the aloha.
Beautiful. So you have touched on this a little bit earlier in our journey, but we're going to circle back around. So you are an ICRT licensed teacher. Can you tell me how the ICRT program helped you in your Reiki journey?
Well, as I said, it absolutely made me a better Reiki teacher. It helped me understand the Reiki itself on a much deeper level. And when you enter the program, you're assigned a mentor who works with you through the 3 years. That actually didn't happen to me. I ended up with 3 mentors because of things that were happening with them, and that was really great to
Yeah.
experience it through different people. Um, it just yeah, it helped me understand what Reiki really is. I thought I knew before that, and it changed everything, really. And if anyone is interested in seriously being a professional Reiki teacher, I would recommend it. With that said, they don't take everybody. The year I applied, they took, I think they said over 100, or they had over 100
Mm,
applications. They only took 2, me
yeah.
and Tracy Sullivan. We started the same year.
Wow.
And so there's a lot of requirements just to apply, and they want to be sure that when they're putting all this time and effort into training someone, that they're serious about it. It's not just for someone who's curious or, part-time or whatever. So,
Mhm.
plus it's not cheap, it's
Right.
expensive. So it's a total commitment. But if anyone's really interested in being the best possible professional teacher you can be, I would highly recommend it.
Very good. Well, that was our last question. And as we've been talking, is there something you may have forgotten or something you feel called to share with our listeners? You can take that time now. The floor is yours.
Um, Gosh, I don't think of anything. We sure covered a lot of
We
stuff.
did. We did.
Um, I guess I would just close by saying, Reiki is such an incredible blessing to have in one's life. And it really doesn't matter what form of Reiki you're working with, as long as it's legitimate Reiki, it will help you, it will heal you, it will bring blessings into your life, things that you can't even imagine. It makes life just flow better. It isn't such a struggle anymore. So, so I encourage all of you who have Reiki, use it all the time, use it in every way, and your life will just get better and better and better. I just turned 70 and it's life is better than it's ever been. It's really exciting.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Joan, for taking time out of your very busy schedule to join me on this Ready, Set, Reiki journey.
Well, you are so welcome and thank you for having me. And you are a great guide, Tracy.
Oh, thank you so much. Well, you're a great guest. So thank you.
Mm,
All
thank you.
right, my wonderful listeners, if you are interested in your question being featured on Ready Set Reiki, reach out at www.readysetreiki.com. And if you're interested in a little bit of yoga and a little bit of Reiki or Reiki training, reach out to Feather Sister, www.feathersister.com. I'm Tracy C. Wright, and this has been Ready Set Reiki.